Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Lekon Onobanjo. Here are stories making headlines beyond the continent. We begin the news in the U.S., where the House of Representatives has rejected a Republican-led funding bill aimed at preventing a government shutdown. The bill would have suspended the country's borrowing limits for President-elect Donald Trump's first 2 years in office. However, dozens of Republican lawmakers rebelled against their own leadership, sinking the package. With federal agencies set to run out of cash on Friday night, the government shutdown is looming. The contentious bill's defeat has raised concerns about the country's ability to meet its financial obligations. And joining me to unwrap this is the political analyst and social commentator Michael Lanre Toluhi. He joins me from Manchester, United Kingdom. Before we entertain our guests, let's quickly listen to these excerpts. We'll be back to talk more on it.
On this vote, the yeas are 174, the nays are 235, one voting present. Two-thirds not being in the affirmative, the rules are not suspended and the bill is not passed.
And of course, that's how it went down at the U.S. Congress right there. Michael Lanre Toluhi joins me now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you around. What do you think about this particular spending bill being pushed by Donald Trump? The fact that even the Democrats are against it, including the Republicans also. What's your take?
Yeah, my take is it's a straight thing. We consider the new funding plan fair because even the opposition, everyone to tell there was an opposition from the Democrats. And a very significant number of Republicans went against this, and which basically shows that, okay, they are trying to do this and that they are not ready to do what needed to be done. The bill has, even though that the president-elect, the president of President Donald Trump has his endorsement, but yet 38 Republicans voted against this. This is just, this we are seeing to be what we call the fiscal conservatives, and they've actually opposed inclusion, debt ceiling suspension, and they felt that the bill did not do enough to reduce federal spending. Basically, because they felt this bill is not reducing federal spending. Especially when we see that the representative from Texas, Chip Rock, who has, for example, he criticized the plan and he called it a shameful adding it, say for adding that to the national debt. He's seeing that the internal GOP, he's seeing that the internal division in the Republicans is highlighted in this, and you can see that there is tension between the Trump-led Republican and the traditional fiscal responsible conservatives that we have in the United States. And when you look at this, but this is not going to be the first time, so I don't think we shouldn't think there's something wrong, because we could see that in between 2018 and 2019, in the first term of Republican, when Donald Trump was in his first term, when he was first there, we had such showdown too. There was kind of thing that happened, and there was a border war funding. If you saw that during when they do the wars between Mexico and America and the US, the negotiation went down and didn't go on well. So it just shows that this current situation just shows that they reflect, it actually shows a situation that reflects a recurring pattern in the way that the internal conservative or the Republican, like you might want to call them, struggle over to balance their physical conservatism and with what Trump often has to do, because Trump will be a businessman. Trump's being somebody that belongs to the boardroom. He's seen himself kill deals or finish deals or close deals. He's always going to come and wants business to go, all of them running up and down. But you see, some people say, I not believe, or they're still finding out or finding it difficult to believe that Donald Trump had emerged, because we saw the way he came on and over. So it's basically an internal wrangling in the Republican, because in the Republican that voted, this would have passed, because a huge number of Republicans So this happened. But it's normal. But it shows you, for me, it's a plus for someone, for a country like Nigeria, where you see the legislative doing their things and not be an appendage of the executive.
Well,
It really does not mean that these guys are not looking for the development of America, and it doesn't mean that Trump is not looking for the development of America. It just shows that the division of labor, it just shows the sharp division of labor, or the way it is that the executive and the legislative can disagree, but at the same time mean well for the populace.
well, you would agree with me that Nigeria's case is a different pottle or kettle of fish, if you would agree with me. But then, looking at the repercussion of this, if a consensus is not reached by Friday night, federal services, essential services will shut down. Isn't that a worse situation to be in rather than having these spending bills scaled through?
Yeah, there will be a lot of suspension, strong in a lot of key infrastructural thing. But you see, it just shows another thing too, that the people just felt they need to know, because what the Republicans, especially the House, is saying is they want to have a ceiling to whatever is happening. They don't want America to go borrowing spree. They want to see how they're going to be able to generate and how they're going to be able to service this debt and all that. We know that if this thing is happening, there's going to be a lot of things that is going to happen. But the nation will still have to go to it, and there's a lot of because it's even more dangerous. It's actually politically and physically risky for them to just go on without having all this stopgap to ensure that the nation America does not go down. Already, we know that the economy of America is actually dwindling, because we also how the Democrats have actually managed it. It's obvious the Democrats hasn't managed it well. Forget all the fine-tuning and all the, what I call it,
Okay.
trying to look for this one.
Okay.
All the facility they're trying to claim that it's done. It's American economy is actually battered, and they need to do is a time to call themselves and think, okay, what is the way forward? Hey, how can we go forward? What do we do?
Okay.
It's time to wear the critical thinking cap, and not thinking, how critically can we come on? It may not just be a way. You'll be surprised that.
I understand, Michael. Yeah, Michael, I understand that it's a democratic process in America. But then, what do you make of the fact that Elon Musk himself seems not to be supporting this bill? Is actually calling for the incarceration of any lawmaker who supports the bill for 2 years. One would expect that Elon Musk would actually support Donald Trump on this.
This is how I'm saying. The fact that Elon Musk supports the president-elect in his election, and already he's been targeted to be a cabinet member. He doesn't have to support it, because it's about the love of America. You see, it's about American first. It is not about Donald Trump. It is not about President Joe Biden. It's not about anybody. It's not about Elon Musk. It's about what is good for the Americans and America. And they're just all thinking about it. Believe me, even President Donald Trump have to pause. I'm sure he's probably thinking 1 or 2 strategies of how to go about this, what to do and what not to do. At the same time, too, Elon Musk and every other person looking at it. The House of Rep, probably the House is probably looking at it again and having an holistic thing. There might be a compromise. I guess Elon Musk is saying that because when you look at the document and when you look deeply at the document, all the thing is calling, it might probably taking America down. Yes, President Trump is a high-risk taker. You don't get to where he got to without taking high risk.
Okay.
He's a high-risk taker, and he's feeling all those things. But the Americans are pausing to check, is this risk worth the why? Or is this risk not worth the why? If it's not worth the why, they will rather pause and do what they need to do.
All right, Michael Tolui, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on this. Let's now head to Europe, where we understand that Buckingham Palace says King Charles's cancer treatments will reportedly continue in 2025, almost a year after it was announced he had been diagnosed with the disease. The palace sources made it known in a statement saying that the king's treatment has been moving in a positive direction, and as a managed condition, the treatment cycle will continue into next year. The sources added that there is a sense of optimism reflected in the king's determination to maintain a busy schedule of public engagements, including events over the festive period. In February, Buckingham Palace confirmed that King Charles had been diagnosed with cancer and had started treatment. And joining us to discuss this is an international affairs analyst, Olabode Oseni, and he also joins me from London, UK. Thank you so much for joining us. Olabode, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me now? Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, we can hear you too. So for you, what would you say the latest update is as regards King Charles's health, especially regarding cancer treatment? And how do you think that will be affecting or has been affecting his work as a king?
So far, so good. There's no news that the cancer, which we don't know exactly which type, is affecting his day-to-day duties, and so the treatment will continue next year, and so far so good. There's no negative or any worrying news yet.
So how do you think people in the UK are reacting to this? For a leader who has spent a considerable number of years in some sort of treatments while having a lot of administration to do, they probably would feel that he is not up to the task looking at his health condition.
When you say a lot of administration to do, we need to clear that. I mean, he's a head of government. He does day-to-day paperwork that lead to signatures, meeting of governments, head of states from different countries, and also meeting with his own government privately, where these kind of meetings are not recorded. Again, nothing has affected him that suggests that he might need to take back. So everybody, fingers crossed, everybody in the UK, well, cancer is a terrible thing. It's witness to two of my siblings, and I know exactly what it is. So far, so good. There's no need to get any anxiety that it's affecting him to continue his duties.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Olabode Oseni, for talking to us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's also tell you that police say a 7-year-old girl has been killed and at least 5 other students and a teacher have been wounded in a knife attack at a school in Croatian capital Zagreb. The local hospital said the wounded teacher had sustained life-threatening injuries. Officials stated that the attack occurred at 9:50 a.m. local time at Preko Elementary School in the neighborhood of the same name, and they described the attacker as a young male and confirmed that he had been detained. According to Croatian Interior Ministry, the assailant was a 19-year-old former student of the school. Croatian Prime Minister Andrej Plenković expressed his disgust at the incident and added that authorities are still trying to determine exactly what happened. He said several children had been taken to various hospitals in Zagreb. Let's now tell you that the President of Switzerland, Viola Amherd, has expressed her delight at the arrival of EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen and the significant conclusion of negotiations between Switzerland and the EU during a joint press conference in Bern. Bern and Brussels are seeking to simplify and harmonize the relations, which are currently governed by a complex web of more than 120 separate agreements. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen visited the Swiss capital on Friday to finalize a new set of agreements aimed at stabilizing the country's ties with the bloc after disagreements over freedom of movement across Switzerland's borders.
Und über den materiellen Abschluss der Verhandlungen zwischen der Schweiz und der Europäischen Union. Gemeinsam würdigen wir diesen bedeutenden Schritt auf dem bilateralen Weg und den intensiven Prozess, der dazu geführt hat. Es ist unseren Verhandlungsteams mit großem Einsatz gelungen, ausgewogene Lösungen zu erarbeiten, die im beidseitigen Interesse sind.
Away from that, a Russian missile strike hit Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, on Friday, killing one person and injuring several others. The attack occurred around 7 a.m. with Russian forces using Kinzhal and Iskander missiles. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko reported that 2 people were hospitalized and debris fell in 4 areas, setting cars and buildings ablaze. The Ukrainian Air Force had warned of an impending ballistic missile attack. Russian President Vladimir Putin had suggested a high-tech duel over Kyiv to test Russia's new hypersonic ballistic missile. Ukrainian authorities also reported missile attacks in the southern port city of Carson, where 1 person was killed and 6 were injured. Many thanks for being there. Beijing's foreign ministry said on Friday that no country should regard island countries as their backyard when asked about Australia and the Solomon Islands agreement to strengthen the island nation's police force. The agreement includes a multi-year funding, training and infrastructure package for the Solomon Islands, which has fostered close ties with China. However, in a sign of the competition it faces from Beijing, the Solomons police announced on the same day that it had received a modest donation from China for its police support fund. The Australian deal, valued at 190 million Australian dollars over 4 years, will include the construction of a new police training center in the Solomons capital, Honiara.
国家都不应该将岛国当作自己的后院，而是要优势互补、协调配合，开展3方或多方合作。我们希望有关方能切实尊重岛国的独立和主权完整，不要干涉岛国的内政。
In Asia, Malaysia announced on Friday that it has agreed to begin the fresh search for Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, which vanished 10 years ago in one of aviation's most perplexing mysteries. The Boeing 777 carrying 239 people disappeared from radar screens on March 8, 2014, while en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Despite the largest search in aviation history, the plane has never been found. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said Malaysia has agreed to a new search operation to be conducted by maritime exploration firm Ocean Infinity, which previously carried out an unsuccessful hunt in 2018. The company's first efforts followed a massive Australia-led search for the aircraft that lasted 3 years before being suspended in January 2017.
13th of December 2024, that was last Friday, the Cabinet has agreed in principle to accept the proposal from Ocean Infinity United Kingdom to proceed with seabed search operations to locate the wreckage of flight MH370 in a new area estimated at 15,000 square kilometers in the southern Indian Ocean. This endeavor will be based on the no fine, no fee principle. Under this principle, the Malaysian government will not be required to pay Ocean Infinity any fees unless the wreckage of the aircraft is discovered. The proposed new search area identified by Ocean Infinity is based on the latest information and data analysis conducted by experts and researchers. The Ministry of Transport is currently negotiating the terms and conditions of the agreement with Ocean Infinity, which is expected to be finalized in early 2025. These decisions reflects the Malaysian government's commitment to continuing the search operation and providing closure for the families of MH370.
Bringing you Taiwan politics, Taiwanese lawmakers clashed in the parliament on Friday as President-elect Xi Jinping's party, the Democratic Progressive Party, attempted to block bills they believe could harm the island's democratic system. Dozens of DPP lawmakers occupied the parliamentary podium since Thursday night, using chairs to block access. They protested 3 legal amendments proposed by the opposition bloc, which would make it more difficult for voters to recall elected officials deemed unfit. One of the key bills, backed by the Beijing-friendly Kuomintang and the Taiwan People's Party, seeks to raise the threshold for removing officials. The KMT argues it would prevent the misuse of recall power, while DPP lawmakers fear it would infringe on voters' rights.
我是来抗议蓝白这样子没收人民罢免权，然后把中央政府的财的钱挖光光，还有瘫痪宪法法庭的行为，这种扩权，把台湾立法院变中国人民代表大会的行为。
但我蛮惊讶，今天中午有这么多人的，因为确实昨天晚上很冷，然后今天那么温暖，没有想到现在外面有这么多人。对。
We now tell you that Sri Lanka's Navy rescued 102 Rohingya refugees, including 25 children, from a fishing trawler adrift off the island nation's coast. The group, fleeing persecution in Myanmar, was brought safely to Trincomalee, a port in eastern Sri Lanka, where they were provided with food and water. The mostly Muslim Rohingya face severe persecution in Myanmar, and each year thousands attempt dangerous sea journeys, heading mainly towards Malaysia or Indonesia in search of safety. These perilous voyages often come with great risks as refugees seek escape from the violence and hardship they face in their homeland. Palestinian officials have alleged that Israeli settlers set fire to the Bir al-Walidain mosque in the occupied West Bank village of Marda on Friday. The attack, which included racist graffiti in Hebrew such as "Death to Arabs" in quote, was confirmed by Governor Abdallah Kamil. Villagers of Marda corroborated the report, stating that settlers had previously entered the village under the protection of the Israeli army. Kamil also mentioned similar incidents of vandalism and graffiti in nearby areas. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry condemned the attack as a blatant act of racism, linking it to widespread incitement campaigns from Israel's right-wing government. Israeli police and the Shin Bet security agency condemned the attack, calling it a matter of great severity and promising to act decisively. And that's all on Beyond the Continent. Don't forget to watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Ovo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onabanjo.